Disclaimer: I do not own any of the Gaia Online characters or references. They belong to their own respectable creators. After my own creations and plot lines belong to myself. Quotes and songs belong to their own respectable creators. Kalani belongs to his own respectable creator. Dedicated to those who have gone past. Thank you for the memories. I will be splitting part 1 up into 2 parts, only because of the exceeding time that YouTube has. Thank you. Chapter 1: Genesis. Gambino didn't believe in gods. Gods were for pussy eaters that had nothing to do on Sunday morning than fast and pray at tiny chapels and town squares. Gods took money for themselves while mortals toiled away and gave into the harshness that was reality. Gods spit onto the goodness that were crafted into humans and left them to burn in the valleys full of sorrow. Gambino didn't see why perfectly lovely gold needed to go to a deity that would only scoff at it. He didn't understand the meaning in finding a higher essence for empowerment, or why people just couldn't wrestle their own dark angels instead of praying. Gods took, and many of him called him greedy because he was only looking out for Gino and his own good. He now figured out that his ways could probably come back to bite him in the ass. After the first attacks had happened, the billion-gold man thought nothing of it. He had everything that money could buy. Why would people scream of demons when Johnny Gambino's Gaia's godly man all the way could save the day? Gambino soon learned that he wasn't a god, and he couldn't save the day. He watched the aftermath of when they found the remains of Moira. The thought of her squished eyeball still barely attached to that one eye socket still left chills down his spine. Something crawled in the night, and a simple event couldn't crush it. No pretty battle or plans could save Gaia this time. It was by chance the GGF team came across the research in order to find, or in this case build, the weapon that would be needed. And it was only by chance that Edmund had come across the one who fit the profile to a T. Chance as luck. Now there is a thing that fate dangled in front of their noses. They needed her consent to move forward, but she had no motion or sound since Edmund had carried the young thing in. Even then she was whisked away like the sun dipping into the candlelit sky, bathed and put to rest. The female lay in her bed, staring into the yellow brick road ceiling, counting the cracks, but no Emerald City appeared in her vision. She was silent, and she was not awake. The coffee was a luxury that not many had in this time, but he did. The delicate porcelain cup next to him was steaming with the rich bean liquid, yet his thirst wasn't present, and his gloved hands were folded under his chin in a deep thought. A noble frown masking on his strong features, and still azure beady eyes stared into the fireplace in front of him. Cool embers reflected into those hazed eyes, making almost violet hues dance in those depths of those irises. His mind was swimming with thoughts of the days that had already gone and for those who had yet to come. Puzzles and puzzles within this mystery that was just beginning to bloom. He had almost scoffed at the ancient scrolls that told of tales of heroes and monsters old and forgotten. Childhood fairy tales started by some rumor either way, and this made his eyes flare up, staring into the fire as if it was his enemy. The giant form started to shake and shatter within the confines of his faded ruby chair. The teacup clattered and shattered from his flail, leaving stains of crude coffee on the ivory carpet floors. He didn't notice, nor did he care, with his large hands clenching the back of his sun-kissed hair. The fine golden locks tumbling about his shoulders and entwined within his locking fingers, pulling, tearing, and the scalp almost peeling off. Gambino gritted his teeth and tried to let the screams that filled his ears stop. Screams that would never go away after this, but he could only pretend. It was bad enough to lose his wife, but to lose the people that looked at him as a leader, the people who prayed and held him in good health, slaughtered or turned into a demonic presence by a sore and fucked up goddess. It was something that even the bravest of men would have trouble dealing with. Yet even with the strongest being within this yielding world took the grief upon their shoulders and kept crawling to the light at the end of the tunnel. He would still move on, he decided. I have to still move on. I have to still move on. I must. He was a greedy man, and he was a coward of a man. But Gambino knew the value of life, and would see others would see it as well. If it meant killing this key and saving them all, then so be it. He had heartstrings that were worn and heard the cries of others into the night. Maybe it was the greed that was tired of him, or realizing that there was more at stake than himself or Gino, but this time it meant more. With that, Johnny Gambino lifted slowly from his chair and left the room, the drying coffee slowly losing its glisten on the floor from the firelight, just like the people's hopes, drifting off into a desert full of doubt and sorrow. Her hair would have been snow silver white, if it wasn't for the pinkish hue from the blood still caked in her scalp. It would still take some time to wash it away before its glistening ivory strands were once to what they may have been. White was easily tainted, at least in his mind frame, and once a color was splashed upon its surface, nothing can make it go away. Back to the blazing glory it once was, but this was something he didn't know. Edmund was poetic. Even when the world was demented and gray, he still saw some beauty in it. His one good eye blinking to the small woman that was swallowed by an old army blanket, the rough material on her alabaster skin. He was surprised when she was washed up and laid to rest in the medical area. He was expecting a busting beauty, a head-turner, or a hot mama to rock the Casbah sun up till sundown. Instead, there was a plain Jane pixie of a woman there, though her skin was smooth and paler than snow. It was almost sickly translucent. One could almost call her a wraith. Her lips were small and pale as cherry petals, nearly blending into her skin. Her nose was thin and small as well, curved slightly upward. The cheekbones were average, and her lashes were long but not as flattering. This woman was delicate, but she was just... what's the word he's looking for? Oh yes, plain. Aren't heroines supposed to be lovely and turn heads, make villains blush and turn away from their beauty in awe and star-striking nature? No, he mustn't forget that their enemy wasn't looking for something beautiful to fight. It only wanted blood, sweat, and the cries of its pawns. Luck helped them for any type of miracle that it was supposed to be coming their way. The middle door behind Edmund opened with a haunting squeal, his body freezing upon instincts and glancing behind him. When Gambino's solid form entered into the medical area, Edmund relaxed warily. As quickly as he entered, the door behind him was closed, and the soft click of the lock latching. Moving through the shadows did the man slowly appear into the lamplight that was casting its small foundation upon the sleeping woman and Edmund. He came to rest behind the sitting man, and Edmund's good eye turned his gaze to him, regarding him with a curious look. He was about to ask the billionaire what he was doing in this wing of the base, but Gambino beat him to the punch. Has she moved at all? He asked in a gruff voice, laced with edge and trimmed with surrender. Edmund lowered his gaze to the woman again before shaking his head, not answering for a moment, and then replying, No, nothing has changed since I brought her in. Gambino nodded, watching the blanket fall and rise from the girl's small chest, taking every detail as Edmund had just did. But it seemed like he wasn't just looking at her. It seemed like he was calculating against her. Has anyone else seen her? Edmund shook his head. Just you and me and Josie. Did she have any other injuries? No. The only blood on her was from the creatures in another, but we were unable to identify who at the moment. Edmund sighed when he replied again, letting his massive shoulders slump as exhaustion came in.